Hey there and welcome back. We're not quite shifting to Module 3 yet because this is a bonus episode all about your flipped classroom, but personalizing your flipped classroom no matter what the setting might be. In this lesson, we're going to learn things like ways to infuse your personality and little other personal touches in your flipped classroom that are evident in all settings. So this really is going to apply even if you're in a traditional flipped classroom every day of the week setting, but also in a blended setting if you only see your students 2 to 3 times a week, and even an online setting. And it really is going to be optimized, right, in your blended and online classroom especially, your flipped classroom too, of course, but especially in those two settings because you're bringing a bit more of you, a bit more of your classroom and personality, so that we are going back to that idea from one of our previous lessons, all about a cohesive, like packageable classroom, and your students are almost subliminally able to see, yes, this is Mrs. Smith's classroom, and I know that because I can see that she's made it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to be sharing 3 different ways that you can really infuse your personality and really personalize your flipped classroom for all settings. And the first way is in your slides. I've actually had a lot of teachers go through flipped classroom formula that have asked about these exact slides that you're looking at right now, but also in my flipped classroom because they are a bit more cohesive and they're just kind of wondering, how in the world do you do that? So that's what I'm going to share here. You guys know me, right? Like, I'm going to share my experience and what I've done, and hopefully it's something that you can take and run with and make work for you. So whether you use PowerPoint or Google Slides, those are the 2 programs that these tips that I'm going to be giving are really optimized in. If you use another tool to make your slides, some of the suggestions that I make will very much apply there as well. The first suggestion that I want to give you is to find free templates. They are out there, ready and waiting for you, and they are super quality. Most of the templates that you'll see in my updated slides that I've made, whether you access those on Teachers Pay Teachers or you see them in my updated flipped videos on YouTube, I've gotten those from a place called Slides Carnival. So slidescarnival.com. And in this image here, you'll see I have actually used 3 of these templates that are pictured in that graphic that I just pulled off of Google Images, right? But there's so many, and there's a lot of good options for teachers too, like more education themed, and I absolutely love their templates. So I would start there. Some other spots that I have found is slidesgo.com and slidesmania.com. There's some really cool ones on Slidesmania. I've only recently become aware of them, and I'm going to be using some of them for sure. So you want to make sure that you check those out. Now, please know that they have a lot. They have a lot. So I'm going to give you a very specific action item at the end of this lesson so that you are ready to use templates, not just to peruse for hours on the templates, okay? So let me give you some quick tips for slides and really infusing your personality into those. Use the template and the theme that you choose for an entire unit of study, okay? So it could even be for an entire season of materials that you're using, like in an elementary classroom, right? And you can change up your theme by season, but if you're in like a specific content area or grade level in like the middle or high school, and you're going to have a whole unit on biomes, I don't know, I'm just making this up as I go. You want to make sure that you choose one template or one formatting like background theme in PowerPoint and use that for the entire unit. Multiple reasons there. The first one is because it brings some cohesiveness for your students. It's one less thing that their brain has to process because their brain has already seen it before when you're in the same unit of study. And that's advantageous, right? That's beneficial when you then go to switch the next unit of study and it's new slides. It's almost like a trigger in their brain to let them know, okay, we're shifting. We're going into a new unit. You'll say that, of course, but in using a new theme or a new template, that's also going to help their brain transition as well. The other reason is because it's less change for you to do. It's less decisions more than anything, right? You know how the slippery slope that it is when you're trying to do creative things in your classroom to look for stuff, right? And having to do that for every single slide deck or set of slides, whatever you want to call it, is way too time consuming. So pick one that you really like and use it in every single set of slides for an entire unit. The next one is about fonts. I really love fonts. What I really love about the templates that you can get in a place like Slides Carnival is that it comes with fonts that are accessible in PowerPoint or in Google Slides already. So just go with those. Those are really awesome, and that's another thing that's going to stay cohesive and consistent throughout the unit. However, if you want to change up some fonts, or if you're designing your slides from scratch, which some of you may be super talented in that way and been doing it for years, go for it. You want to change up some fonts, right? There's a really quick way to add fonts in Google, and I'm going to show you that here. So when you open up a new Google Slides file, you will click on any of the text boxes that you're working in and go up to your fonts. You'll click the little down arrow, and then there are more fonts. So if you're looking through here and you don't see any that you like, because it does come with a pretty basic number of fonts, you can click on more fonts, and then you could totally get lost in the abyss of fonts that Google has here, just clicking on any one of them to then add them to your list over here. But let's say you're working in PowerPoint, there's plenty already in there. There seriously are. So if you don't want to add fonts, please don't. But if you're really looking to get creative with fonts, you can, of course, purchase those from other teachers who create them. That's a whole other talent that I could not understand. But it's really cool that teachers are making fonts. Two teachers that I have purchased fonts from are Amy Grosbeck and Amanda Newsome. Amanda Newsome's store being called A Perfect Blend on TPT. And lastly, what's a slide about personalization and creativity if you don't mention your Bitmoji? So to get started with your Bitmoji, if you don't have one of these yet, you're going to want to actually download the app on your phone first. And then you're going to want to add the Google Chrome extension, which I'm going to show you here. So you'll notice up here in my extensions bar, which is to the right of your URL bar, that I've already got the Bitmoji extension in there. So to find this, all you have to do is go to the Chrome Web Store, and I just put it in the Google search bar, and boom, it takes me there. So once you get there, you're going to search in the store for Bitmoji. And there is an extension. Because I've already downloaded it, it's telling me to rate it. You will see an Add to Chrome button, and you'll just click Add to Chrome, and bam, it's going to show up here. So let me show you how you're going to actually use that when you go to enter it into your slides. So let's say that you're making one of your daily slides, or even just one of your slides that you're going to use in your flip videos, and you've got like, hello, welcome to class, or anything like that, and you want to add your Bitmoji. All you're going to do is go up to your extension bar and click on the Bitmoji extension. They give you lots of suggested ones, but you're also able to search. Like let's say I want to say good morning. It'll show me all of the good morning ones. So I'm actually going to right click on it. I'm going to click copy image, click in the slide, and paste it. So this works really well in a Google Slides, but you can also, once you add it into Google Slides, let's say you want to add it into a PowerPoint, all you have to do is just have copied the image, and you can do that straight from the Bitmoji extension as well, and then get into some slides and paste it into your PowerPoint slides. Now, the second of 3 suggestions or tips that I'm going to help you with today about infusing some personal touches in your classroom is a personalized recording background, especially as we approach Module 3, and you're going to start recording videos next week. Now, you've watched a couple previous lessons about keeping things simple, right, as far as audio and lighting and your background. But I'm going to add a few tips here that are all about ways that you can bring some of your personality into those, especially as we're potentially looking at more online lessons. You really want to make sure that you're providing that personalization and consistency. So a few ideas that I have in thinking about what your background can be. First, you don't need to have a background like this, right? Like, please don't think that it has to be like this and you have to do all of this work. That is not what I am suggesting at all. So these ideas that I want to give you are simple ones, okay? And I'm thinking you can find a little end table, or maybe there's like a specific wall or corner of your home that you could do some of these suggestions that I make here. The point is that don't think it has to be super fancy. The goal is just a little bit more personalized and revealing of you as a teacher and your classroom culture as a whole through your online and flipped lessons. So some ideas would be any items from your classroom that you love or use often. So I have a just like a plastic brain model that in my psych videos, I would totally include that in my background because it's very content specific, right? A corner or small section of your classroom, if you're able to get into your classroom and you're able to record your lessons there, that could be really cool. You could also just very simply infuse the color scheme or different artifacts that are a part of the character of your classroom if you have a specific theme that you use. And then content specific items like I was talking about, it could be like your textbook could simply just be in the background, or maybe like your math journal that your students, each one of your students has, is in the background. Something like that that is almost like a trigger for your students to recognize this is a familiar place for me. And of course, anything that you like, right? You're the teacher, and that's really what's in your classroom for the most part. But anything that you find interesting or overall makes the video recording process appealing for you. And you know what? There's no shame in just something being cute too. So just make it something that you like and is going to help bring some familiarity for your students. But above all else, keep it simple. And keep it something that's accessible for you so that it's easy to keep it consistent. Please don't have something that you have to set up and tear down every single time. So that's why I suggest like a unused corner of your home somewhere that has decent lighting, right, and Wi-Fi access, so that you don't have to tear it down every time you're finished recording your videos. Tip number 3 is less about slides and your videos. It's more about your digital classroom, or what we've just talked about in a previous lesson, your flipped classroom home or hub, whatever it is that you want to call it. This could be Google Classroom, this could be Google Sites, this could be Schoology, any of those learning management systems that you use where your students are frequenting often for your flipped digital online blended classroom, all of it. There are simple ways to really personalize those, and that's what we're going to talk about here. The biggest one is your learning management header. And you could do a really cool, I don't know if you've seen this trend out there, a really cool Bitmoji that's in like a simulated classroom that looks almost identical to your classroom. And you can then put that in the header of Google Classroom. You could put that in the header of your Google site, all different kinds of places that will then make it seem seamless, right, and cohesive for your students. Now, if you are not on the Bitmoji craze, I'm going to show you a different way that you could do this. And it's simply a picture of you sitting in front of your recording background. Now, here's the suggestion, and I'm going to show you how to really do this in a second. You want to put yourself off to the side. If you think about the Google Classroom header, off to the left-hand side is all the information that kind of runs towards the right. So you want to place yourself in the picture frame, essentially, over to the right, but still having the background of your video recording set up, essentially. So again, it's even more cohesive that they're seeing this familiar setting in more places than one, and it's going to help them feel essentially more at home in your classroom, no matter where they are. And that is the ultimate goal. So let me show you how you would do that in PowerPoint. Okay, so let's say that you're going to create a banner for your Google Classroom header. The size that you're going to want to use is 800 by 200 pixels, which is the same size that you'll use for any kind of Google Form header as well. So if you do your quizzes in Google Form, that would be a really cool kind of header to use there as well, or maybe as like the get to know you survey that you hand out at the beginning of the school year, something like that. So that size is 800 by 200. So when you go to make this image, you're going to want to open up a Google Slides or a PowerPoint, and you're going to want to change the size. So go to File, Page Setup, select Custom, and you're going to select to make it in pixels and do 800 by 200. Now, let's say that you're going to make this in PowerPoint. You're going to go to Design and select Slide Size, Page Setup, and you're going to type in this width, 800 px by 200 px, and it automatically translates that right into inches, and you'll select OK, click scale, and it changes the scale for you. Notice that it's a rather short but really wide image, right? And so you're just going to add in anything and everything here that you want. I'm not going to give you a full lesson on how to do the Bitmoji classroom, because really you can just Google it, go on YouTube, and find the rabbit hole really that is creating your Bitmoji classroom. It really is cool. So if you're going to make a Bitmoji digital classroom banner like that, please head on over to YouTube and you can find so many different kinds of videos. What I'm going to show you though as an alternative is that if you don't want to go down that rabbit hole of creating a Bitmoji classroom, maybe someday you do, but right now you just don't have the time, I'm going to suggest something else. So I'm going to create it in PowerPoint, but really you can do this in Google Slides just as easily. So I'm going to insert an image. Now, if you remember, I suggested to you that you take a picture of yourself in your video recording background. Just set yourself off to the right hand side, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to use an image that I have taken previously. It's not of a background necessarily of my video recording background, but it's one where I am off to a certain side of the frame. So let's say that I want to use this image. I'm going to get rid of these text boxes back here, and I'm going to really it's going to be a really big image, right? So there's really not going to be a whole lot of the image that I can put on there. That's why I'm recommending to you that when you go to take this picture, make it, the person who's taking the picture for you, make sure they're taking it as far back as possible. So I'm actually going to crop the image, and then I'm just going to kind of drag it to get it to where I want it to be. I've got enough of me in it, I think, and a lot of the background that they're going to see, and I think that will be just fine. So then what I do, I kind of zoom in a little bit. I'm just going to take a screenshot of it, right? I'm just going to capture it here really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to get back into Google Classroom here, and I'm going to click on upload photo. So select a photo from your computer. I took a screenshot, so it's on my desktop somewhere. There it is. I'm going to click open. And here it is. I'm going to try and capture as much of the image as it will allow me to. I think it's going to let me get it all. Yep, because I made it the dimensions that I told you, right? The 800 by 200. And then select class theme. And there it is. Now notice there's what's called an overlay, a darker overlay. And Google Classroom, Google does that for access issues so that students can more easily see the words and they don't get it confused with the background, and then it's really easy to see. But notice that you see me in the photo, right? You see the background that I'm going to be using for all of my videos. I just had the person who took this image stand really far back to get as wide of a picture area as possible. And like I said, you can then include that in your Google site as well, and any kind of Google quizzes. And then you just want to, if you're going to use something like Schoology or some other kind of LMS, you just want to look up, okay, what is the header size if they have the header, and what is that size? Google has a plethora of information. Just Google it, and I'm sure you will find the sizing that you need there. And that's it, my friends. So in this lesson, you've learned a few tips and tricks, right? Just personal touches that you can add to your classroom to really bring through your personality and really the personality of your classroom in all settings, right? And that's super important. So I have quite a few, but a decent number of take action items from this lesson before then next week we get into Module 3. These ones really can be rather quick and simple ones, but the big one that I want you to do is after you're doing these is share them in our Facebook group. Because when we see what others have done, we think, oh wow, that would be so much simpler, easier, or more creative, or cool, whatever it might be. It's getting our creative juices flowing, right? So first, check out one of the slide templates sites that I gave you. Download your favorites, right? So as soon as you see them, download them. And I want you to put them in a folder, whether it's on Google Drive or on your computer, and just call them slides templates, right? Make a folder that says slides templates, and put all the downloaded slide decks that you like into that folder. And you can start using those now, but you at least have them later so that you really never have to go back to a place like Slides Carnival until you're wanting a refresh like 2 years down the road, right? So that when it's time for you to go and use that template, you're going to make a copy of it first, right? Or you're going to duplicate the file on your computer first so that you always have that original template. The second is set up your personality infused recording background. I would love to see these, right? And please remember, when you're sharing this in the Facebook group especially, keep it simple and consistent. That's really what we want to see, but we want to see parts of you too. And then create your personalized digital classroom header with the tips that I was just showing you in that tutorial, and of course share in our Facebook group so that we can congratulate you and see all of the awesome work that you've been doing. So now we can officially say that in the next lesson, we're going to be into Module 3, all about creating your flipped videos. So with Module 2, we really are wrapping up flipping foundations, those prerequisites that you need to then get into phase 2 of Flip Classroom Formula with Modules 3 and 4, which is all about content creation. We're really putting boots to the road here and boots to the ground and getting working. So the nuts and bolts of making your slides, recording, editing, and publishing your videos. I'm super pumped, and we'll see you next time.